Good afternoon. Wow, another one of those days of crazy news. Wow. Before we get started, I probably should do this more often. I've been doing it more often than I had been before. In fact, I never did before. But I think it's important because there are a lot of us out there that are doing this, and we are just getting they're trying to shut us down from as many directions as possible. Now we've been kind of lucky. We've never been shut down in any way on YouTube or Facebook or anything like that. But the time's coming. I think largely the reason why we've never been shut down on either platform is because we don't spread misinformation. We don't run with those false stories that so many out there in alternative media do. How many times have you heard me say Hillary's going to jail this week, right? Or next week, or the following week? You don't hear me say that. Why? Because, well, I want to see it. When I see it, I'll come back and say, you know what? I was wrong. I was absolutely wrong, and I apologize for it. I'll tell you what, more important to me, I have a whole lot more faith in our government. But I don't see that happening. I just don't. So, if there's alternative media out there that you know, you trust, and you like, throw them a bone. Help them out. Help them out. Not saying necessarily us. There's far better out there than what we are. However, like I said, we are very, very persistent on the truth. I would rather be kind of late to the story and bring you the truth than what I would be the first one to break the story just to find out it's not true. A couple of times I've put out things that turned out not to be true. I was always quick to retract them. That's important. That's really important. But whether it's us or anybody else, throw them a bone. Help them out. Because I'll tell you what, they're not getting any help from YouTube. They are not. There's so many channels, even channels that have nothing to do with news or anything like that. Really good, wholesome channels that really depended on that, and they've pretty much been completely defunded. And it's crazy because it's any kind of videos that are getting demonetized. I mean, it's unbelievable. Jano Zero put out that video, and I know he doesn't want to carry on about it, but that's one channel that absolutely should not have been affected by all the demonetization. What harm is that guy doing, right? So it's to me it's absurd, and it's so widespread, it's unreal. So if there's somebody out there you like, you trust, throw them a bone, give them a hand. You can go to our homepage. We've got a donate button right here. It takes you straight to PayPal. So if we are the ones you choose, or if you want to check us out, we've got links everywhere to our Etsy store. Up here up top, here's one in the sliding display here, and then there's a link in the very bottom footer of the page. So we've got items. We don't expect anything for nothing. So um, it is greatly appreciated. It will go towards helping the show along and bringing you different things, like things that we can check out, review, things that we can make, we can build, we can learn from. That's my intent this summer. That's my goal this summer, is to bring another aspect to the Watchman news. But it's kind of takes some help. We live on a very, 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 very budgeted income, so it's hard for us to be able to even get little things. But I'm not begging for money or anything like that. In fact, I'm not at all. I'm just saying this is the direction we would like to go. So anyway, let's jump right into what's going on in Twitter, and then the main focus of the conversation is going to be back that bus up, and I'm talking about the Omnibus Bill that was signed today. But I've got some weird insights on this. Trump did not look pleased. He did not look pleased, and he almost looked a bit, well, I don't know, disgruntled to a point, or even intimidated, even. So I want to talk about that a bit. Let's run through Twitter, and we will go there. Starting out with 16 hours ago, Trump lining up war cabinet, ? Bolton's elevation to NSC advisor fuels alarm. And I've been saying that for a long time. And that is definitely what it seems like is going on. And from what I understand, Bolton is the man to bring that on. China's stocks plunging on news of U.S. tariff hike. Moscow regrets EU followed UK's anti-Russian policy over Skripal case. Situation in eastern Ghouta as Ahrar al-Sham militants leaving area. Putin wins Russian presidential election with 76.69% of the vote, says the draft resolution. You know, when I read that, I was thinking back in school, and I want to say maybe I was in second grade or third grade. I don't think it was second because I had Miss Harnicher, I think was her name, or Miss Harnix, something like that. This lady's, isn't it odd that I can remember that her first name was Rose, but I don't remember her last name? Her first name was Rose, and of course I never called her by that, but I do remember that her first name was Rose. I can't remember what her last name is. That's insane. But I can remember her. In fact, I can see her in my head like it was yesterday, talking about Russia. Now, mind you, that was a different Russia, okay? It's either first grade or third grade, one of the two. And anyway, I can remember her talking about voting and Russia and about how there was only one name on the ballot. And you either voted that name, I swear to God, she said, or else they would shoot you, if I recall right. And yeah, I see her standing in front of me talking about that as I speak. That's the first thing. I don't have a lot of memories like that are so vivid, but that I do remember. I remember it well. That's not the case now. I want to make that clear. But I was just saying that when I read that last night, or this morning, that's the thought that came through my mind. Syrian air defenses, army ready to repel any attack, including a U.S. strike. That's kind of big words. Hostage situation at French supermarket is very serious, says the French Prime Minister. Trump says considering veto over TACA issue, lack of full border wall funding. And, of course, it went back and forth. We'll get to that. Alien fossil, mystery age, origin, and bizarre mutations of baffling 5-inch skeleton revealed. That is insane. I don't know if you've seen pictures of that. We tweeted that out. So if you want to read the whole story, you can go to our Twitter page and get the link to it. That is bizarre. And wow, I would assume that this is for real. Okay, I would assume because it's being put out there on RT. Wow, it's crazy. Oh well, here it says it's been solved. Maybe I'll read it now. Let me read it now because it says something about being solved. Back in 2003, conspiracy theorists were in a tizzy following the discovery of an alien-like skeleton in a remote Chilean town. Theories spread about the origin of the tiny mummified body, but now the mystery has been solved. Ada, as it was named, was discovered tucked inside a pouch behind a church in a ghost town in Chile's Atacama Desert. Unlike anything ever found before, it had an elongated skull, strange sunken eyes, and 10 pairs of ribs. Humans typically have 12 pairs. Perhaps the most bizarre feature of Ada was its size. Despite appearing fully formed, it's roughly 6 inches long, no bigger than a dollar bill. Until now, its gender, age, and how long it had been buried in the Atacama Desert, cause of death, and even home planet remained a mystery. These questions have now been answered thanks to a comprehensive genome analysis by scientists from Stanford University and University of California, San Francisco. I had heard about this specimen through a friend of mine, and I managed to get a picture of it. Senior study author Gary Nolan said in a university press release. You can't look at this specimen and not think it's interesting. It's quite dramatic. So I told my friend, look, whatever it is, if it's got DNA, I can do the analysis, he added. After 5 years of arduous testing, how would you say that word? Arduous. Thank you, babe. Wow, these gigantic words. Arduous testing, the scientists concluded that Ada was the skeleton of a human female, likely a fetus, that had suffered severe genetic mutations. Furthermore, her remains were not as ancient as previously thought, only about 40 years old, and though most likely a fetus, had the bone composition of a 6-year-old, an indication that she had a rare bone aging disorder. The results also showed a number of mutations in Ada's DNA that separately or in combinations contribute to various bone deformities, facial malformations, or skeletal dysplasia, more commonly known as dwarfism. The team's research was published Thursday in the journal Genome Research. It brings to a close the mystery surrounding the highly unusual find. Very interesting. Um, Very interesting. So hopefully they're being straight on that. That's all that it is. I don't necessarily trust any studies that come out of the United States. They're often funded to be whatever direction that the funder wants it to go. So interesting though, nonetheless. French Prime Minister says hostage-taking incident appears to be a terrorist act. Paris says supermarket attacker known only for petty crimes as ISIS claims responsibility. Tusk says national level response to Skripal incident expected on Monday. Ministry of Defense says Russian jets don't conduct airstrikes against residential areas in eastern Ghouta. Government shutdown avoided as Trump withdraws threat and signs spending bill. Trump actually had stated this. This is insane, folks. The GOP is wasting its time if they don't get rid of the filibuster. Okay? And I said, I wonder how long it is before he demands us salute him. You know, it's insane. There's reasons why those things are put in place. Okay? And I know there's a lot of people that's either for it or against it. And I sit back and I think about the theory and the logic behind it. And I can see a good use for it. You know, there's a lot of things that can be stopped. Bad things that can be stopped with a filibuster. Okay, by removing that ability, you're not going to be able to stop them. You know, there's a lot of times they pass bills that they do it real quick. I mean, as quick as possible. And if we've actually got somebody on our side that's in Congress that filibusters something, giving them time and media attention to get the word out about whatever it may be that they're trying to get through, then we can make a difference. This is just one more thing, one more tool that can be used to stop the tyranny. And that's the way I see it. I know there's a lot of other views on it and all that, but this is crazy. He wants to get rid of the filibuster. He also wants to get rid of the, the 61 majority or whatever, and he wants it to 51. I mean, come on. All these checks and balances that our government has to stop tyranny, you know, the anti-establishment president is trying to peel away. It's interesting. Absolutely interesting. Martin Vizcarra is new Peruvian president after resignation of Pablo Kaczynski. Moscow says nerve agent codenamed Novichok was never produced in Russia. Surprise, surprise, huh? U.S. stocks take another dive after Trump signs massive $1.3 trillion spending bill. It's insane. Insane. And, you know, I did look earlier. I'll pull it. Oops! I'll pull it up again real quick after I give the dog and Jen a heart attack with my e-cig. And right now, currently, the Dow is down 424.69 points. S&P 500 is down 55.43 points. NASDAQ is down 174 points. And the global Dow is down 51 points. Gold, however, is up 19.7 points and oil, of course, is up 1.44 points. So very, very interesting. We'll take a quick look over here at Bitcoin, and Bitcoin is actually on the rise again, up 35.78 points. So that's USD Bitcoin. I just seen the Euro Bitcoin just go into the red. So very, very interesting stuff. Something to definitely keep a close eye on. So let's get to this about this omnibus deal that was signed today. So I'm sure by now many of you have seen the huge stack of paper. I can't remember how many pages roughly they said it was, but it's huge. And one of the big complaints about this whole filibuster thing is because that prevented them from having time to read it. They weren't going to read that. Come on, they're not going to read it. I mean, give me a break. They're lucky if they read even a 1/100th of the stuff that comes past them. They're lucky if they read it, right? They have advisors and they have this and that, so they take recommendations by somebody else. Our representatives aren't even the ones that's doing the legwork to find out whether or not they should rubber stamp something. They just take the advice of somebody else in most cases. And, the thing of it is, it reminds me of Nancy Pelosi and Obamacare when she said that, we have to, we have to pass it before we can know what's in it. And that's exactly what I thought about today when Trump turned around and signed it after saying that he was going to veto it. And yesterday, I remember there were things being said and claims being made that, well, it's got some funding for the military in it and military families. They like to use that, and, it does have some funding for the wall, blah, blah, blah. And like I said yesterday, $1.6 trillion for that wall is nothing. That's a drop in the hat. And they even admitted that today. And, I think what comes to my mind is what about the campaign promise that Mexico was going to pay for that wall? What about that? See, I don't see people talking about that. I see people debating about the whole wall project, but I don't see anybody bringing up about the fact that Mexico was supposed to pay for it according to Trump during his campaign, and now that's not even anywhere on the radar. Not at all. Not anywhere. This whole thing with the military funding, folks, I've been saying we are about to go to war. And this is going to be a big W. This isn't going to be a little W. It's definitely going to be a big W. And so they want to funnel money into the military industrial complex so that they have enough money to be able to, fund their killing. It's insane. It really is. And the interesting thing about it was, though, is today, after Trump had signed that, there's video of General Mattis speaking and Trump standing behind him. And I was trying to read Trump's body language, and it almost really seemed like he was forced to do something. It really did. I'm not necessarily standing, standing behind Trump saying, oh, I'm not. I'm not standing in front or behind of him. That's not what I do here. I call things as I see it, whether that's positive or negative or whatever it may be. I call it how I see it. And just the body language that he had was that he absolutely was forced to do it. He had mentioned that they had him. He had spoke with General Mattis prior to the signing, and I think it was prior to him speaking to Mattis when he was saying he was going to veto it. Next thing you know, he spoke to Mattis, and boom, it's a done deal. So there's something up, folks. There is definitely something up. And, here we might have another case. I suspected with Obama early on in his presidency that he was basically being forced to do things against his will. That those that were truly in control of this country were forcing his hand on a lot of stuff. And I think that happens. I think it's happened through, many decades of presidents. I think what happened with JFK is a good indicator of that. I think what happened with Ronald Reagan is a good indicator of that. You either do what they tell you to do, or they are going to kill you. They did with JFK. They damn well tried with Ronald Reagan. And I can imagine after Ronald Reagan was shot, I can imagine he probably had some more threats saying, we won't screw up the next time, and we'll take your family with you, or something to that effect. That's speculation on my part, but it's speculation that I think it's based with some pretty good logic and some pretty good background history on the way things have been going on in this country. So I do have to ask myself again. I really do think there were a lot of things that Obama wasn't cool with, right? Obama wasn't cool with Obamacare. A lot of people don't realize that. Obama had his own Obamacare bill. They wouldn't even entertain that bill. No, they didn't get the Obamacare bill. What everybody got was the Romney Care bill. And a lot of people seem to forget that or not even know it to begin with. That was Romney's baby. Romney's. And it's insane. Absolutely insane. So it kind of makes me wonder if Trump's hand was forced today. Absolutely, totally forced by these global interests, okay? Because it's the global interests, the ones that's behind the war, that wants the wars. It's global interest, period, right? I'm not saying that we don't have presidents that don't go along with the thought of it, but I'm telling you, it's going to happen one way or another. And we are at a point in this country, and if you look back and you look at history and you look at the economy and how it relates to war and wartime, we are right at that moment. We are right there to where it's quote unquote time for a world war. Why? Because we owe everybody money. We owe everybody money. So we go and we blow them up, and we don't owe them money anymore, right? I'm just dumbfounded, absolutely dumbfounded by how this system works, right? I mean, they would like to be putting students that owe, or former students, either way, that owe on student loans. Believe me, they would like to lock them up. They would like to lock them up, and I think they kind of have here and there. But the U.S. don't have to pay back their debts. They can just go blow up their debtor, right? It's insane. Mark my words. Mark my words. We will be in a big W before the summer's over. I've been saying within a couple months or so, definitely before the summer's over, we will be in a big W. But I think, it's not going to be like the others. I think when it starts off, I think it's going to be lights out here in the United States, and that's going to happen real quick, real fast after it starts. But I honestly, and I still stand behind this, I don't think it's going to be another country that does it. I really, really don't. I really, really don't. There's a lot of loose ends, like gun ownership, that they need to tie up. And every time they even make a move towards guns, the American people stand up and they speak out very loudly. In fact, that's why I've been kind of disappointed and frustrated this time around, because there have been a lot more people silent this time around than I'd ever heard before. So it's very interesting. Very interesting. Either a lot more people silent, or they're doing a better job at silencing them, which could be as well too. Okay, there may be a bunch of stuff that we're not seeing on social media because it's not allowed out on social media. Let me tell you something about Facebook. Just because you're Facebook friends with somebody don't mean you're seeing what they post. Okay, there are many, many times that it pops in my head, well, I haven't seen so and so post anything. And, I care about people, so I'll go and I'll look at their profile to make sure that they're doing okay. And I'll see all the stuff that they're posting each and every day, and I don't see a single bit of it in my news feed. Not one single bit of it. It's very interesting stuff. But I think folks need to take a real good look at what's going on with this Omnibus Bill And I think folks need to start digging in and find out exactly what is in it, what did get funded, what we have not been let known about whatsoever that's in it, because I guarantee you there's a lot of that. Probably at least half of it we have no idea what was funded. Okay. I think it would be a good idea to start going through it and looking at it and piecing things together, because I'm telling you what, even Trump said today that he was never going to do this again. And I found that kind of interesting. But even more so was the expression and his body mechanics as he was standing behind Mattis. It just looked to me like he was given no choice, no choice. And I don't know about you, but I think it's wrong for the president of the United States, no matter who it is, whether it's Obama, whether it's Trump, no matter who it is, to be forced to do anything by anyone else other than we the people. So it's very interesting. I wanted to make note of it. And just keep an eye on things, folks. Keep an eye on things. And as always, keep preparing. And like I said, I'm going to try to remember to start closing up our monologues like we do the show. This is just closing the monologue, not the entire show. But as always, God bless you all. We love you all. And be one with your spirit.